Okay guys, so what we're going to do here is this is part 2 of setting up a development environment, and this is going to be building out your Ubuntu image on VirtualBox. So last time we installed VirtualBox. Now it's time to actually get an image and download it. We're going to go to Google and we're going to type in Ubuntu download. And that is going to take us to the download Ubuntu desktop. And we're just going to scroll down. We're just going to grab the beta bits, because why not? And just wait for a minute. If you want to contribute to this, you can. And you can see that I've already downloaded this, so I'm not going to re-download it, but that's all you're going to do is you're going to pick a spot. I use TorchMe apps. If you need help on how to create a directory, let me know. I'll do a video on it. We're going to download this. I'm not going to download it right now. We're just going to remember that it's in TorchMe apps. Depending on your download speed, this is, how big is this thing? It's a couple of gig. It's about 2.5 gigs. So depending on your download speed, that could take anywhere from 4 minutes to 2 hours. So just, if it's going to take you 2 hours, just start it before going to bed. It takes you 4 minutes, do it now. At this point, you have Ubuntu downloaded in a directory you can get to. And what we're going to do is we're now going to create a new VirtualBox virtual machine. So what we're going to do is there's a little bit of IntelliSense built into this dialog. Just click on this file, click F2 for rename, and then Control C to copy the file name. Okay, we're not doing anything to it. Then come back here, we're just going to right click, and you'll notice that it figured out this is going to be a Linux machine and it's going to be Ubuntu 64. So what we're going to do, I'm going to call this development VM. Development. And we just click next. Now we're gonna give it, I'm gonna give it 4 gig. I've got about 8 gig free. 4 gig's a good number. And I'm gonna click next. So we can get into why 4096 is 4 gig. It just is. It gets down to binary numbers, and we can go into binary numbers. It's probably something you're going to have. It's one of those weird things you're going to have to learn if you're going to make a career out of this. So create virtual hard drive now. We're going to go ahead and use the VirtualBox disk image, which is the native format for a virtual hard drive. And we're going to allocate it dynamically. Okay, this is just setting it up so you're not going to use as much space as necessary. And I'll tell you right now, this 10 gig here, this next screen tells you how big do you want your virtual hard drive to be. 10 gig is not enough. I kick it up to 40, which is just 2 clicks here. It doubles. So you're starting at 10, click, click, 20, 40. And we're going to hit create. Effectively, what we've done is create a configuration file. We have the name of our machine, Ubuntu 1910 development. Clicking start, it's going to go out and try to start this thing up. There's going to be a problem because it has no idea what it's going to do. There's no bootable medium system halted. So what do we have to do? Let's go ahead and close this down, power off the machine. And we'll go to storage. Depending on how you set it up, the system's a little smarter. We're going to go to this controller IDE. So just to again walk you through it, we're on our image. We're going to click on settings, this gear up here. And we're going to come down to storage. And on this IDE here, the controller IDE, we're going to click on empty. And what do we need to do here? Do we add a new storage controller? No. We're not going to remove the attachment. Optical drive? No. choose virtual. There we go. Okay, now, if you have already installed Ubuntu, then it'll be on this list. But we're not going to get to, so we're going to choose a disk file. So here's a menu. Again, this is what's normally going to pop up for you. And you'll see that I've already set up this group. So we're going to do this kind of the hard way. So you come down here to your optical drive, click this little icon over here, and we're going to choose a disk file. All right. Now this one is a little smart. It knows where I've been before. You're going to go to that directory where you downloaded your image. An ISO file is a virtual DVD file. So we're just going to click on this ISO. File name comes in here, and we're going to say open. Now that's attached. Basically, we've got is a blank system with the install DVD in its virtual DVD player. Now we're just going to hit OK, and we're going to hit start one more time. And this is where the magic's going to happen. Okay, so here we go. And you'll see a little bit, you should be seeing purple here sooner than later. Alrighty. Now, one of the things to know is at this moment, this is as big as the screen gets. We're going to have to do some things before it will auto size to and go full screen. Like if we fold screens, we can just go ahead and do it. That's all we've got. So a little bit of patience. We've got a few steps to go through here. This blank screen is to be expected. It's still going through its process. And now it's going to say the install screen. Now this install window may float a little bit and you may have to move it around. So we're going to click install Ubuntu. And honestly, I use the Dvorak keyboard. We're not going to do that today. Actually, I am. You're going to click English US or any other language you want. I'm comfortable with the Dvorak keyboard. We'll talk about that at a different time. But there's all kinds of different languages. Find the keyboard that you want. Even if you're using a non-US keyboard, you know what you're doing here. So, and here you can type in, this is a test. Alright, so I'm getting what I'm expecting from my keyboards. So I'm now going to hit continue. Alright, normal installation, yes. And you know what? I'll take the browser, web browser and basic utilities. Let's just go with a minimal. We don't really need the Office software, we don't need the games, and we don't need the media player. So just go with a minimal installation. Download the updates while installing Ubuntu. That's kind of up to you. I leave it on, but I've got a pretty good connection. So, and again, if you're going to let this thing run overnight, it might be worth your time. So we hit continue. And now we should go to the install screen. Okay, here we go. Now to the installations type. Now this is a scary screen. It's saying, do you want to erase the disk? And no matter how many times I do this, it's like, I really hope it's not pointing to my disk that this is all running on, because that would be a bad day for me. Like a really bad day. Erase disk and install Ubuntu. This is what you want. Do not encrypt your installation for security. Just leave everything blank here unless you know what you're doing. And if you know what you're doing, more power to you. And click install now. Okay. If you continue, the changes listed below will be written to disk. Otherwise, you will be able to make further changes manually. You're going to be able to make further changes manually anyway. So, here we go. Continue. And it's getting ready. You can see the spinning disk. You can see your network I/O is just pumping away. and pick the time zone you're in. Click continue. Now here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to say Malcolm. Okay, and if you have a different keyboard, apparently in Ubuntu 1910, your keyboard is not being mapped on this screen. I don't know how that works for other keyboards. So I've got a different keyboard arrangement inside of the English keyboard. This screen is requiring that you use your standard QWERTY keyboard. Again, I don't know how that's going to work on, say, an Israeli system. Good luck. So Malcolm, I just leave my name. Here's Malcolm. I'm going to call this, the computer name is going to be Malcolm Dev, DEV, pick username, and I'll tell you, I always go with password. I use these as disposable systems. PASSWORD. Weak password? Yes, it is. Require my password to log in. I always do this. I may or may not need to. So log in automatically, continue. And now we're going to install our system. At this point, what I wanted to do is kind of, continue to show you what's going on, but at the same time not bore you with what turned out to be about 8 minutes of watching the screen just go and go and go. So there's about 58 seconds worth of this. You can just fast forward to it, but honestly, by the time you get there, I'm probably going to be done. And then, of course, how things go, just as I'm about to say, you know what, normally this is about when I go for a cup of coffee, that's when it immediately got done. So I'm going to let you have the last 5 seconds of silence, and here we go. So where are we? A lot of times I will start this up and I will just go get coffee. Installation's complete. Okay, so here we go. Installation complete. You need to restart the computer in order to use. So restart, and what's going to happen is when we restart, it's going to ask us to hit return at some point in here. So just wait. It will take as long as it takes. There we go. Now this can be frustrating if you're not paying attention. You'll notice it says please remove the installation medium, then press enter. VirtualBox is taking care of you, and this will sit here for hours unless you hit return, or it's the enter key. And here we go. Now again, this is only as big as it is, and we're going to take care of that on our next step. It's booting up for the first time. Congratulations, you've installed an operating system. And go ahead and let me know what kind of issues you're having. I will ask you to take the exact error that you're getting and drop it in. Okay, so I'm going to click here, enter my password. And I'm going to wait. Alright, connect your online accounts. I'm going to skip this. Sure, if you want to. Depends on how much you want Big Brother to look. Click next. Location services. I'm not turning mine on. And you're ready to go. Click done. Alright, so now this is the important next step. What we do is we go up to this outer shell right here. This outer window is VirtualBox. We're going to go to Devices, and we're going to say Insert Guest Edition CD Image. And it's going to ask you, this contains software intended to be automatically started. Would you like to run it? You have to run it from here. This can be when you upgrade your VirtualBox install. Getting the guest editions to work is sometimes the biggest headache, to the point where I often just won't do it. Click Run. You will need to put your password in again. And we're going to say Authenticate. And then we're going to have to reboot this install again. And it won't take that long. It takes a minute, maybe two. It's a long minute. You know, when you're actually watching the clock for 120 seconds, that's a long time. And again, all these times are going to be relative to how beefy your machine is. If you got a gaming rig, this is going to go really fast. Okay. Now we wait. Running kernel modules will not be replaced until the system is restarted. Press return to close this window. Return and enter. Most people don't have a return key. They have the enter key. That's the one they're talking about. I am not going to install this right now. Maybe I'll remind me later. Doesn't really matter. Now we need to do one more thing. Oh, it's actually going to go full screen already? Okay, so I would recommend restarting, but I'm going to hit my right control and my F key. And that's a VirtualBox instruction. It's going to say, are you sure? And I'm going to say switch, and I'm there. So you have now installed Ubuntu. For an extra special, hit Control. Is it Control Alt T or is it Control Shift Alt T? It is just Control Alt T. We're gonna do your first Linux command, and then we're gonna boot out of here and call this a day. LS, if you're from Windows, you might remember the dir command. LS is the same thing. And here you are. You've got a couple of default directories, and we're gonna end this here. You've just taken a huge step. We might take a little bit of time to go look at the software you have available. You know, you can open up an editor. Hooking this up to your printer might be a little bit of a trick. Your file editor, your file system. There's all kinds of stuff we can do. This is not Windows. There's some weirdness around Linux that is going to be counterintuitive, and there's a couple of hours of mind-numbing frustration in your future. But again, it's a relatively small hurdle, and it's going to put you, if you're able to in an interview say, you know, I do most of my development on Linux, that kind of casual remark is going to have them look at you differently. So it's a leverage point. All right. I'm going to sign off here. Call it a day. Congratulations, people. You just got yourself an operating system that you can play with.